The Semi-Slav is one of the most complex and difficult openings to play as black, but in this video I'm going to simplify this opening into a very easy setup that anyone can learn and play in 5 or 10 minutes. But before we begin with the moves, guys, I'd like to thank you all so much for reaching the 500 subscribers mark in this channel. We reached this mark yesterday. Now we have 500 subscribers here in the channel, and I'd like to thank you guys so much for that. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, I would recommend you to subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button down below and help this channel grow. It really helps me a lot and it means a lot to me. Thank you very much for that, guys. Now on to the moves. We have here the setup, and this setup, I used to play this a lot myself. I don't play it very much anymore, but I used to play this a lot myself against any d4 opening from my opponent. So whenever my opponent started with d4, I would go for this setup. Very simple and easy. I would play d5 and then develop my knight and then develop these two pawns forming this triangle here. So I would love to reach this position where I have my knight developed here and this formation forming like a pawn triangle here. So this is going to be my first move to respond to d4. It's going to be d5, and if my opponent plays something like this, c4 for example, I can go ahead and develop my knight here first, and then the pawn, and then this pawn. I can go for this pawn instead, or I can go straight away for the c6 push, which is the Slav defense. And we're going to play the Semi-Slav, but more in like a setup. The Semi-Slav is a very complex opening, lots of theory behind it. We're going to avoid that and learn to play it as a setup in a very simple way, so we can avoid memorization and all those different lines. We can just memorize more or less where the pieces go and where I want my pieces to go, so I can play this as a setup. So I want these pawns moving here and making this triangle. I want my knight developed here, my other knight coming here, and this is the basic setup we want, right? So we can go ahead and play c6 if you want to play the knight first or the pawn first. It's not going to make much of a difference at this first stage of the opening. So your opponent pretty much is going to develop the knight. You're going to do the same. If they develop the other knight, you just push e6. This is the first step. And you're going to develop this knight here first, more often than not. Just so in case, let's say your opponent plays this, you can recapture with the knight just in case. So, and this knight over here is also going to reinforce maybe some future pushes here on the e file or on the c file. So if your opponent plays e3 here, closing the position, you can go ahead and develop your knight. We know that this is the plan, okay? So this is pretty much what we want to reach here. This is our main setup. So from here on, we can adjust our plans according to what white does, but more often than not, we're just going to develop this bishop, maybe gonna bring it here. We're going to push this pawn later on, but first we're gonna take here, and that's why we want to wait. We want to wait to see what white's gonna do with this bishop. And if they move this bishop, if they ever move this bishop at the same moment they move, we can go ahead and take this pawn. And why not taking it before, for example, in this position? Because if we take here, we're just helping white to develop, and then they're going to just recapture here. So we want to wait for white to make this move first, so they have to waste a tempo. They moved this bishop, so now when we take the pawn, they have to spend yet another move to recapture, so they are wasting a tempo with this bishop and another tempo, because right after that, we're going to strike with b5. And we are expanding on the queen side, attacking this bishop and forcing it to move yet another time. So they're going to play, let's say, retreat the bishop here, or even here sometimes. So more often than not, they're going to play bishop to d3. And we are going to develop now. This bishop comes here. This bishop more often than not is going to come here to this square. We can castle short here. very safe position, and we can start expanding maybe here or here. This is a great game. We can bring the rook to the c file. We're just predicting that this file is going to be open, not so late in the game, like soon in the game. So bishop d6 here, let's say, but we could play any of those moves, maybe here, maybe here. And then after castles, we can castle. Bishop to d2, they're developing their bishop. We're going to develop our bishop here. We are expecting here to play this rook here, try to advance this pawn, or maybe even this pawn, and expand on the queen side. Because our king side is very safe here with our king castled. The rook is here, knight is protecting as well. So we have a lot of room for improvement on the queen side. So we have the pawn majority here. We're going to expand and attack. They're going to play rook there. We're going to play rook here too. After a3, they are intending to come here, so we can prevent that by just playing a5 if we want. So be careful about this move. Now they cannot play this move anymore. I mean, they can, but they're going to lose a pawn, and they are discouraged to do that. So they're not going to advance on the queen side anymore. And we can have a great game here. According to the engine, this is equals. So whenever we're playing black, we have to keep in mind that our goal as black is to reach an equal position and to prevent white from achieving their plans. And this is exactly what we do in this position. It's a very simple setup. Anyone can play. You just have to remember more or less where your pieces go and what is your plan after you play those moves. So whenever we reach this position here, where we have the two knights develop, the pawn triangle, we are playing the Semi-Slav, really nice position. We are waiting for this bishop to move, and as soon as it moves, we take the pawn, attack it again with b5, making it move like 3 times. And then we have a lot of tempo to develop our pieces. We can castle safely, develop the bishop here. We can start expanding on queen side. It's a great game for black. And we reach an equal position after move 12. Like I showed you guys in this position here, we are on move 12, equal position. It's a great game for anyone to play. You don't have to memorize that much. So if you like this video, please remember to like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more. And as always, guys, I see you in the next video.